Hi, I'm Mystic Zach here with my Week 11 picks. We are back in business. We're back in Florida. I've touched down from LA. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. I've been everywhere, and I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back in the original studio, back to cook up a Week 11 prediction. Up first, I have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills. This game is at Miami. Fortunately for the Dolphins, they have not received the Mystic Zach kiss of death the last couple of weeks. This has resulted in a few wins. They took down the New York Jets. They took down the Indianapolis Colts on the road last week, but I say their winning streak ends now. I think Buffalo's going to march into Sun Life Stadium and they're going to take the Dolphins down. Josh Allen, I'm looking for him to get back on track against a porous Dolphins secondary. Cornerback Xavier Howard is out. They're looking mighty fine in that secondary. I think wide receivers Sean Brown and Cole Beasley are going to be able to get some separation. Josh Allen's been struggling with the deep ball, and I think this is a perfect game for him to open it back up. The Miami Dolphins have also struggled to contain Josh Allen with his legs when they've played a lot of the time. He's a guy, he's got underrated mobility. Coming out of college, people didn't really talk about that too much, but he's a really athletic guy. He's kind of like a slower version of Cam Newton in my opinion. I got the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins. Up next, we got the Oakland Raiders, a hot team, taking on the 0-9 Cincinnati Bengals. Ryan Finley, the quarterback, is not it, in my opinion. His throwing power is pretty weak, in my opinion. The Cincinnati Bengals have been struggling coaching-wise, defensive-wise, offensive line-wise, defensive line-wise. They're pretty weak all around. Look, in my opinion, they're a tanking team. I'm not sure their coach's best interest is in winning at all for the rest of the season. I think they're going to go for LSU quarterback Joe Burrow or Alabama quarterback Tua. I just see the Oakland Raiders taking down this team. They've been better than expected. Quarterback John Gruden still has a few tricks up his sleeve on the offensive side of the field. He's always had that. He's had that since the beginning of his coaching career. I don't think it was very fair to people to judge the Raiders so harshly last year. I like what GM Mike Mayock has been doing, and I like what Coach John Gruden has been doing. Up next, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Denver Broncos at Minnesota. This is going to be a pretty fun game in my opinion. The Minnesota Vikings took down the Dallas Cowboys last week. That was a close game where the Minnesota Vikings coaching really shined. A defensive coordinator and coach, well, not the defensive coordinator, but the defensive play caller, Mike Zimmer, really shined through. He was able to load the box and stop Ezekiel Elliott from doing too much. Ezekiel Elliott had been running all over the NFL. He had 2 really strong weeks, and he was able to shut that down. He's a guy who's able to create very favorable situations in the box. He's able to shut down both the run and the pass with his defensive schemes. Cornerback Xavier Rhodes is struggling, but the other guys have been picking up the slack. I'm trusting Mike Zimmer and the Minnesota Vikings to take down backup quarterback Brandon Allen and the Denver Broncos. And last but not least, a college prediction. I am undefeated on my college picks this year, and I think that's going to continue. I've got the Penn State Nittany Lions over the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a game that is pretty fun in my opinion. Penn State was taken down last week by Minnesota. That was an upset. That was looked at as an upset by some, especially the playoff ranking committee. They had Minnesota much lower than Penn State, although they both had perfect records. Didn't make too much sense to me, and when they played in the field, that showed. Minnesota was able to capitalize on a close game and close out that game against the Penn State Nittany Lions. I think they're going to get back on track this week, though. I think they've got I think they're a two-level-coach team with James Franklin. I think quarterback Sean Clifford and wide receiver KJ Hamler are going to be able to get that connection going. KJ Hamler is a guy who I think is a very underrated draft prospect. He's a sleeper. I love his explosive skill set. He'd be perfect for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs in my opinion. I can see him suiting up in that red and gold pretty shortly. I'm Mystic Zach, and those are my Week 11 predictions.